My mama's sick. I'm sick.
All right.
Doesn't excuse absences.
So if we look at the opening, now that I've got the video started, and number one, how do we do distance? Add them all up. All right, because I looked at your papers yesterday, they're graded. I'm going to hand them back so we can go over it here in a little bit. A lot of you did a great job. All right, and I was really pleased. If it's just got a check on it, you got 100, by the way, because I didn't go back and write 100 on everybody's paper. So when you look at the problem, anytime you do distance, you add them all up. We can add 5 times, or everybody knows we can do what? 400 times 5 is 2,000. So our distance at number 1 is 2,000 meters. Okay? For displacement. All right? DIS is just distance. DISP is displacement. All right? How do I do displacement for this one? What do we do on a track?
It would be 0.
It would be 0. Why would it be 0?
Because you're not going back to where you started.
That's right. We start and stop in the same place. So it'd be 0 meters. Okay? Everybody okay with that? Grace, hush while I'm talking. All right. And number 2. In this one, we have to find distance by doing what? Adding. So 10 plus 5 is 15. And this time you write blocks. All right. For displacement, though, this time we're doing what? That's right, because we go 10 blocks west. So 10 blocks to the west would be this way. All right. All right. I got to get this fixed. All right. 10 blocks that way. And then I go 5 blocks south. Now, when you do that, you get a right angle. So using your Pythagorean theorem, we're solving for there. Is everybody okay with that? Yeah. Yes? Nigel, you see how we did that? All right. So from there, 10 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared. So 100 plus 25 equals c squared. So 125 equals c squared. Take the square root. And what do we get? Should say 11 points. 11.1. So 11.1 blocks. Everybody okay with that? Yeah. All right. So number 3. When we look at number 3, all right, I leave LSHS and drive 33 miles to Greensboro. So we leave LSHS. We drive 33 miles to Greensboro. GSO is the abbreviation for Greensboro at the airport, by the way. 33. I drive back. I return. I drive 33 miles. And then I drive an additional 11 miles home. All right. So what is my distance that I drove? All right, so my distance, I add them all up, so I have 77 miles. For my displacement, all right, what happens to the 2 33s? They cancel out, so my displacement is what? 11 what? Miles. Okay, remember your units. Any questions about that? No. All right, let me hand back the test, and I need to send out Nigeria because she's going to make it up during lunch, and Grace. All right, I think everybody else is here. I had a Band-Aid. How many Band-Aids do you need?
I was here. We took it on
Wednesday. Yeah, we were here Wednesday. No, not so far. I mean, if Miss Bowers is in there, you can sit in her room because you probably won't be out there very long. I don't anticipate a lot of questions and a lot of time to go over this. Because I don't think there will be many questions. Oh, let's see what's going on this way.
Why are you here? I missed 2 of them.
Look at the printout that I was sending to the back. That's why I did that. That way you can see what you missed.
Oh, I just missed.
All right. Everybody have a test? All right. So if you look at the printout on the back, all right, that's why I print these things. That's what I was doing. I was running around this morning trying to figure out what I forgot because I usually put sticky notes everywhere. getting old, but I didn't write myself sticky notes, so I forgot to staple the printout that I did Wednesday at the end of the day to your test paper. So if you look at it, there's a column right here. I'll hold it up. This little box right here. Everybody see the little box? All right. In the column, it has one that says PRI and one that says STU. PRI is the correct answer. STU is student. That's what y'all marked. Right? So in the column that says PRI, like number 1, the correct answer is A. And if you mark A, then out to the far right, it'll say C, which is correct. You got the answer right. If you look down that column, it'll have little X's. If it's got a little X, that's when you got wrong. So look over and see what the right answer was and what you marked, and you can see. Okay? That's how you know which ones you got right and wrong.
What about if that's
Where?
I got 4 wrong.
That's the class average, so 95% of class got number 1 right. Number 2 on 42% of them got right. So you can see which questions we did better on, which questions we did worse on. So number 2, 3, it's actually a combination of third and fourth period.
Oh, that's
everybody. It's not just you guys. So you can see which ones we did better on. Usually the one that we calculate area on is one of our lower scoring questions. So where's the one that calculates area? Yeah, 17 is one, and I would almost guarantee you that they picked A without looking at my phone to see what the answer was, but I would almost guarantee you that they picked A as the wrong answer choice. That's my pocket. 17.
Oh, yeah, I got that on for sure. So.
Okay, you picked body. Let me go into my phone and zip grades.
I was in
And let's see what the answer was that y'all picked.
I think that it was really deep.
Let's look.
Wait, you said 7?
Item analysis. 17. 19 people who got it wrong picked A. Only 2 people picked D, and 1 person picked B.
Who was the 2 people?
I don't know that answer. I'd have to actually go into their test to look. But 19 people who got question 17 wrong picked A because they calculated the volume.
Yep.
16 people got it right and picked C. But 19 people picked A. And that's the reason I like zip grade, because I can look to see what answers you picked along with that. Now, on your papers, so that you know how I grade this. All right, I grade it page by page, so I don't know whose paper I'm grading that way. I'm not giving someone an unfair advantage. So if you see something circled, okay, that's the total for the page. Okay, so this paper that I'm looking at got no questions right on the page. It has 1 in a circle, you missed 1 question on the page. If it says 1 and -2, means you missed 1 question and -2 for units, okay? So on your front page, I'm going to pick on Markel, because I'm pretty sure I did this in his paper. All right, he's got a good grade, so I can use this. All right, so up here on his paper, he missed 2 questions, and so he had a 93 to start with, and his says -2, and then you got a 91. But out here beside -2, I wrote units, because on the little circles, he had like 2, and then it said -2 somewhere, because he lost points for units. So anybody who has a minus something under their test grade, the minus came from me taking off points for units. Remember, all 3 response answers have to have what on them? Have to have units. So some of you lost points for your units. That's where the minus something came from. So look in your free response, and I probably took off the units on that page. Yep, and -2. You don't have your units on your
Oh, that's some bull.
That's some bull. You got to write units on tendencies too. Okay? So that's where the minus something came from. So I add up all the free response. There were actually 30 questions on the test. So your score came from the number correct divided by 30 and then multiplied by 100. Okay? Now, if you need help or want answers to anything, I'll be glad to answer any questions. If you're not happy with your score, what have I told you you can all do? Test corrections. 30 questions is not many on a test. So test corrections on a short test like this will boost your test grade pretty quickly if you come do something. Yes, sir.
What does NC mean?
What MC? That's how many you got wrong on multiple choice before I printed the test on the back. So you missed whatever number that is in multiple choice. Because I had just looked in my phone to get that number. Anybody else? Yes.
I don't know if anyone else knows how to do this, but I don't know how to test grades.
Oh, you would do it like this. I have a paper that you fill out. And so for, let's say you missed question number, I don't know, 7. What, 3? 3 is the definition. So that's an easy one. You're just going to write 3. I don't know what the answer is. Let's say it's A. You marked A. The answer is supposed to be B. And it's the definition. All you can write is the density is mass per unit of volume. Okay, that's a definition question. There's not a lot you can do for that. But let's say it's 17, which, of course, you missed. Okay, so let's say you've got that one, and you know the answer. You marked A, and it's supposed to be B. All right, you need to write area equals length times width, and show me the formula that you're supposed to use to find area. Plug in 4 times 5 and get area equals 20 centimeters squared. So I'm expecting you to illustrate the work if it's a math problem. Okay, now this is what won't get you credit. Why wouldn't I give you work for that? You didn't show any work. All I know is you know how to get the answer because I gave you the answer on the test. You backwards figured out, oh, I just need to say 4 times 5. You haven't shown me the formula. You don't have any units on it. I'm not giving you points for that. Okay? You got to show me how to get the answer. Now, if you don't know how to get the answer, who will help you do that?
You.
I will. It's the point of test corrections. Okay? You got it wrong for a reason. You can use your notes. You can use me. If there's another student in here, you can use them. Okay? I'll be glad to help you with test corrections. I do them any day that I'm here. Next week, I'll be here Tuesday and Wednesday. If you're not horribly irritating, I will do them during lunch, although I prefer not to if at all possible. Because I need a break between 3 classes. Anybody else? Question? All right, let me have those back so we can let our people in. And then we're going to talk about what you did yesterday, see what kind of questions you have, if any. And then we're going to do an activity. Trevor's already getting his ready to go in the pocket.
Yep.
I'll fold it up.
I don't know if you're keeping it or not, that's why I pulled.
What do you do with all this stuff when you get home?
If I need it, then I keep it. And if I don't need it, throw it.
Okay.
I don't just keep like semester work. Like,
I don't have a deadline.
This is 3 years.
I mean, it's always nice to go ahead and do them close to when we take the test, but you know, if you come in 2 weeks, I'll still do it in 2 weeks.
Because my system is weird. Because it's like, I know I always wear my jackets. I know I'll always wear jackets, but I'm in a rush in the morning. So if I leave and I don't have that whole binder, then I'm like, well, I can't do anything all day. And a test that I had is now gone. So I'll take it out of your book. Because I don't use the books. I don't feel like lugging one around, and I haven't used a locker in 5 years.
Of course. All right, let's Liliana, go let them in before I forget them, and they're still there, you know, at 1 o'clock. And I suddenly realized, oh crap, they're still in the hallway.
Can I have a Band-Aid now?
You ain't got Band-Aid. You got a paper cut? I gotta remember to buy some. This is all I got. I'm down to 3 Band-Aids. Now I'm down to 2.
Finally, hot. Which works on the box.
All right. You hand these papers back.
Look at me.
All right. So we have Shirley.
Why smell like vinegar? It does smell like vinegar.
Now, sometimes I wrote notes on your papers, like a lot of you didn't have work for the distance and displacement worksheet. You just had answers written down. Yes, I'll put the check on it. It was 100. There's nobody in here who didn't get 100.
Well.
Can't say the same thing about fourth period. But y'all
Yeah, no.
Well-
Yep, we're gonna go over all of it. You had enough on the rest of it. I was happy with what you had done.
So there were no.
We're gonna go over it and make sure you have the right answers, and if you didn't, that you know what you're doing. Hmm. Yeah, but I didn't take off on it. I just commented on it. All right.
Everyone.
No.
I really forgot it was Friday today. I thought it was Tuesday. When is Friday? Yeah. Anything like content? Look at my eye contact. Respect.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
Look at my
All right. Everybody had a chance to flip through what I handed back? All right. Don't choke to death on my water. All right, we're going to start with the distance displacement worksheet and then go from there. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to work them and talk about how to get the answers, okay? So, number one, the distance is 73 miles. The displacement is 13. Number two, the distance is 1,200 meters. The displacement is 0 meters. Number three, all right, we haven't done one like this. What do you think the distance was? 8 blocks. I expected that. What's the displacement? 4 blocks. Look, I'll come back to that one. Okay, some of them canceled out. All right, number four, you couldn't have done that one until you did the notes. So did you come back and do that or leave it blank? Okay. Now that you've done the notes, any ideas? Which one would be a scalar? Distance is a scalar. And vector would be a...
I wasn't listening.
Okay.
I wasn't listening.
I said, which one would be a scalar? And I heard distance, which I said was correct. And then I said, which one would be a vector? Would be displacement. Displacement would be the vector. Yesterday, when you took the notes, you should have found that scalars have just a number, no direction. And vectors always have to have a direction. And so vectors have direction. That's why we had the north, south, east, west part, and you had to keep track of what direction was going because they could cancel out. Do distances ever have directions that cancel each other out? And the answer is no. You just add everything up. So distances are scalars. Displacements are always important to know direction. All right, number 5. What's your distance there? 7 miles. What'd you get for displacement? 5 kilometers is correct. Excuse me. That 7 should have been kilometers, and I think I said miles, so it should have been kilometers. Number 6. What'd you get for distance? 5. What'd you get for displacement? 1. I'll come back to that one. So I need to do 3. Just keep track of which ones you want me to do. I'll do all of them that you have questions on. Number 7, what's your distance? 800. What's the displacement? 0. And all of those are meters. Number 8, distance. Yeah.
If it's 0, do we gotta put a unit still?
You should put a unit. I typically don't get bent out of shape if it's 0, but you really should still put a unit. All right. So number 8, what was the distance? 10 feet. Okay, 10 feet. And what's the displacement? 7.2 feet. All right, number 9 is like number 3. So what was the distance? It was what? 90 feet. And what's the displacement? It's 30 feet. Number 10, what's the distance?
How do you do that one?
Right.
The distance is 0.
How are you supposed to do them?
If you just spin around in one direction and you don't
I'm
move.
not talking about that one.
Oh, what?
I'm talking about them now.
We're going to come back to it. I told you I'd work that one. All right. Number 10 is 0 for distance. And what's his displacement? 0. All right. Number 11, distance. 3. What's the displacement? 2.2 miles. Both of those are miles. Number 12, distance. 4, displacement. 0. All right. 2 on the back. 13 and 14. All right. Number 13, what's the distance? 10. And the displacement? 6. 6 blocks. I told you I'll come back and work any of them you want me to. And number 14, the distance is 150. The displacement is 50. All right. So going back, I know I need to do number 3. All right. So in number 3, we walk uptown. We start at the square and we walk 2 blocks south. So we go 2 blocks south. And then we walk 4 blocks east. And then we walk 2 blocks north. And I want to know the displacement. All right, so what happens to my walking? Well, if I do 2 blocks south and 2 blocks north, what happens to those 2 blocks? They cancel out. My 2 blocks south and my 2 blocks north cancel each other out. I don't have to do any Pythagorean theorem or anything weird. Those 2 blocks cancel the other 2 blocks. So this right here is my displacement. So my displacement equals 4 blocks. Technically, I could even write east, which is why it's a vector, because I know the direction. Okay? With me on that? Okay. What's next? 6. Okay. All right. So Amy runs 2 miles south. 2 miles south, and then 3 miles north. Okay? So if I go 2 miles south and 3 miles north, how do I figure out my displacement? Subtract. So 3 minus 2 is 1 mile. Next. 9. All right. 9 is like the one we just did. Okay. So we do 30 feet north. And then we do 30 feet. Oops, I need to go west. Let me move that over here. All right, 30 feet north. And then I'm doing how many feet west? 30 feet west. And then I do 30 feet south. So what happens to my north and my south? They cancel out. So if they cancel out, what is my displacement? 30 feet west. Okay, next. Anybody? So we're good on the rest of them?
No, I need. Wait, what?
I heard 14. So if I swim 3 laps in the pool, all right, what is my displacement? Okay, in a pool, if I go this direction, that's 50 meters. I go back, that's 50 meters. And then I go this way, that's 50 meters, right? So what happens to these 250? Tell me, these people. Yeah, I talked to DeAndre when he comes in here about what they've messed up in my board. All right, so 50 meters and 50 meters, what happens to those? They cancel out, so I'm left with what? 50. That's why it's 50 meters for displacement. Okay? Does that make sense? Anybody else? Question? We okay with distance and displacement? Yes? No? Okay. All right. Now, for the rest of it, I want to hit some highlights before we talk about the answers to the next one. All right. So you got your notes handy? That way you don't have to write? Because y'all took the notes yesterday, so there's no point in y'all having to write stuff. So just pull it out so you got it. And don't go to sleep.
Can I turn this in now?
Let me think about it for a minute. No.
It's too quiet here.
It's okay.
It's not okay. Start talking.
All right. So, yesterday when you did this, okay? Anybody struggling with scalar and vector? So, a minute ago, when I asked you on your notes, which one's a scalar, which one's a vector? Distance and displacement. Why did y'all answer that distance was a scalar? It's just a number, okay? Distance will never have a direction. All you're doing are adding up the numbers. You're never given a direction with a distance. When you calculated speed yesterday, does speed ever have a direction? No. Okay, so if you want to note in your notes, okay, speed will also be a scalar. There's never going to be a direction. Now, when we talk about vector quantities, a vector will be like velocity. Velocity has to have direction. Just to give you something to think about that's different, okay? Speed is a vector. Doesn't tell you anything about direction. Vectors have to give a direction, so velocity will be a vector. With what we've already done, all right, distance is a scalar, displacement is a vector. They give direction. I had to be specific about directions we were going when I wanted you to calculate displacement. Now, your formula for speed. What's your formula for speed? Distance over time. Now, on your orange card, my D looks terrible there. All right, when you looked at your orange card, I said this in the video, it's not on the reference table, but it's the same as what? It's the same as velocity, okay? So if you forget it, you can look it up, but it's not going to be on the reference table, okay? And I'm going to talk about it again, maybe at the end of class, but probably on Monday, okay? So, is it a scalar or a vector? We just talked about it. Which one is it? It's a scalar, okay? Now, what does an average speed graph look like?
It's not straight.
It's not straight, okay? So, if you draw this, will I take that on a quiz next week?
Actually, no.
Oh, no, that's not.
It's not. Like, it's not going up constant.
Okay, it's an average speed graph in terms of it not being straight. I'm all good with that. What's wrong with that graph?
It's not constant speed.
How you just gonna stop? Right.
It's not labeled.
It's not labeled. Okay? A lot of people draw this for me. Okay? There's no what here? Distance or time. I did that intentionally. Okay? Y'all turn in graphs like that all the time. There's no X, there's no Y axis labeled, and I write on the left minus whatever. Okay? I won't take it. The graph doesn't mean anything if there's nothing on the graph. It's a crooked line with an X and Y axis. That doesn't necessarily make it a speed graph.
Why are you screaming?
Who, me?
Yes.
I see like them misses.
Look at you look at
I didn't mean to be screaming. I'm just
You're
talking.
good.
It's okay. Good. It's okay.
You won't trouble.
Better like that.
Okay.
I was in deep thought.
Now, if we talk about constant speed, how does constant speed have to look? It has to be a straight line. All right. So again, that straight line doesn't mean anything unless we do what? We gotta label it. We gotta put the distance and time there. Now, I talked about a special graph yesterday on the notes. All right, what was that special graph I talked about? It looked like this. Okay, what was that graph supposed to be showing you when it had distance and time? It's not going anywhere. That's y'all right now. Okay, it's not moving. Okay, because distance is not doing what on this graph? Y'all are not changing what? It's that key word I want. Position. Y'all are not changing your position. Okay, you're sitting in your chairs. Your distance is not changing. Your position's not moving, so you're not doing anything. Okay? Now, were we okay with calculating and putting a unit on this problem? Okay, we should be. Huh? No, you didn't do anything yesterday.
That's why you need to show us again.
That's not my problem. All right, what about one like this?
Yeah.
No, it was wrong.
Were we okay with that?
Yeah.
No.
We'll do one for you and that's it. All right, so what are we trying to find right here? All right, when it says how long, what does how long mean? It means time. So speed equals distance over time. Now, the nice thing about my course, and you will hear me say this over and over again, is you're usually solving for one of three variables. There are very few formulas in here that have 4 variables, and we have to find 3 numbers and find the 4th, okay? Almost every single one of these is 3 variables. You know 2 numbers, you solve for the 3rd, okay? So they're all the same kind of formula. So when you look at this, how long is time? We got to have speed, distance, and we can find t. Okay, so which one is speed up here? 3.5 miles per hour is speed. How far or the distance did we go? 12 miles. So do just what we did when we did density. You're looking for something in the denominator. Cross multiply. 3.5 t equals 1 times 12 is 12. So how do you get t by itself? Divide by 3.5. So time equals, what's 12 divided by 3.5? 3.4? All right, now when you look at your units, and I said this in the video, you can either write MPH or you can write miles over hours. It doesn't matter which way you write that. When you look, you have miles over hours. What are the miles going to do? You're going to cancel out, and you're going to be left with hours. So 3.4 hours. Okay? Does that help, Nigel? Okay. Now, yesterday when you took the notes, were we okay with finding average speed? Average speed is equal to total distance over total time. Okay? So when you have a question like this that says we were walking 3 miles in 40 minutes, and then we did 2 miles in 20 minutes, we rested for 10, We finished in 4 miles and 45 minutes. Okay, it's sort of like you went on a road trip. You did this much and this much time, and you drove this much and this much time. You took a 10-minute lunch break. You stopped for 30 minutes and had lunch, and then you did the rest of the trip in this much time. If you want to know your average speed, put your phone up, Nigel, unless you want me to have it. All right, do you count up all the time that the car stops? Yeah, you have to. For example, when I drive to my mom's house, can I do 70 miles an hour the whole way?
No, you can't.
I can. I'm not going to get a ticket. Not all those roads are 70 miles an hour. Sometimes I have to stop at traffic lights. So is my average speed going to be 70 miles an hour? No. Plus, my kids are going to host me for a bathroom stop, and what are they going to get at the bathroom stop? They're going to get some kind of food, some kind of snack. Okay? So when you count in a 20-minute bathroom stop, you know, we're going to decline in average speed. I'm not going to be able to average 70 miles an hour. Yes, I do speed a little bit. All right, I'm usually 5 to 6 over. But when you factor in that plus the bathroom stop, I probably average about 60 miles an hour to get out there. Okay? That's what this is calculating. So you add up your total distance that you went over the total time. So when you calculate the total time, you have to use your rest in the total time. You can't leave the time that you rested out. Does that make sense? Okay. So we don't need that. Now, this is where our lab is coming from today, being able to use this kind of information. So I want to walk through and make sure you're okay on this and this. I need to add a question to that. We're okay. All right. So if you had this yesterday, are we okay with how to do this? Because this is usually where people get stuck. So if we want to find the average speed from 3 to 12, what did I tell y'all to do yesterday in the video? Every time you have 2 times, you subtract, okay? Every time you have 2 times, you always subtract. Now, your formula is speed equals distance over time. You only have how many t's? You have how many t's? 1 time. So when you have 2, you have to subtract the times so that you can put them in for time. Okay? So you're going to say 12 subtract 3. Does that make sense? Okay. Now you need the corresponding distances that go with that. So you're going to read your chart up here. The 12 is here, and the 3 is there. So the distance that goes with 3 is 10 meters, and the distance that goes with 12 is 25 meters. Now, just like with the times, what are you going to do with the 2 distances? You're going to subtract them. So 25 minus 10. So 25 minus 10 is 15. 12 minus 3 is 9. So 15 divided by 9. Helps if my fingers work. And you get 1.67 meters over seconds. Now, what if I say, what is the average speed? And I don't give you a time. I don't say to find the average speed from this time to this time. How do you find average speed if I just leave it blank like that? Okay, the total distance and the total time. So what's the total distance? That's right. You go to the end. That's the total distance, and that's the total time. Okay? So, for those of you who didn't get all the way through the notes, because there's a couple of you who didn't, okay, speed is the total distance over the total time. You don't add up all the distances. These are like split times. So go to the bottom. The total distance is what? 25. The total time is what? 12. And then you can figure it out. So 25 divide 12, 2.0 roughly, and then meters over seconds. Now, if you look at these two, 1.67 to 2.0. Is your speed constant?
Yeah.
Did the numbers stay the same?
No.
So your speed is not constant, it's average. If the numbers had stayed the same, you would have known it was constant speed. But because it's changing, you know it's not constant speed. Are you practicing to live in Africa and carry fruit on your head?
Oh, no, I just said it didn't.
Okay. I mean, it's a great skill to have. You know, people used to practice with books on their head so they could improve their posture. You know, but most people do that standing up to improve their posture, not sitting in a chair, leaning over to the side.
Would you say that was the very beginning of class?
It's sparkle.
Okay.
That what?
Okay. Am I waiting on anybody to get anything off the board? Yeah, let me know when you got it, and I'll tell you. Got it? All right, I think probably got. All right, are we okay on this? Or do we need to, did I have you do this one or did I say stop? All right, we're going to stop there and we'll do it. Now let's do it now. Read that one.
Jason ran 2000.
I didn't mean to change it. I touched something.
She's like, no, never mind.
Sorry, no, I touched something. If I put this on the test, would you be able to do it?
No.
Read it and see if you can.
I can do 18.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I'll probably try to
Yeah,
get it out.
but you can just calculate, like,
2.5.
you can do the distance over time thing and then, like, figure it out that way.
Or you
can
can count lots of 0.5 and
Okay.
the second one speed. And then
Distance one.
find it home.
Okay.
Right?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just asking you what you think.
I could.
What do you
All right, so all of you do what you think you should do and see if it's right. Do what you think.
I don't know.
Jose's even going to do it instead of stretching over here.
Is it 81?
You know, what's the name of that movie? The one with the sloth in it.
I say.
No, not Ice Age.
And,
That's it, Zootopia. The one with the sloth at the counter who moves
Flash.
I'm not doing Flash.
Yeah.
That's who you remind me of, Jose.
My dog. They said he looked like the gorilla off the scene.
No, I'm not talking about looks. I mean, I'm talking about the way he moves. It's like, oh my God, this sloth wants me to do what now? It's like it takes all your energy. You move faster at home.
Really?
Yeah. Your mother probably drives you crazy when she says, Jose, come do this. And you're like, no, not now. Give me 15 minutes and I'll think about it.
Well,
Yes,
Is it 81?
not a clue.
No, it's just
I don't know what the answer is. I'd have to calculate it.
Okay. You don't have like an answer sheet? 2 days?
Yeah.
It's just right. Okay, so.
Yes.
It's 81?
Let's go.
It's taking one.
Yes.
What you got on your test?
I
What you got on your test?
What you got on yours? A 2?
I had to take it in line.
I gotta take that one.
Grace is the one who said she didn't have an attendance problem, but then admitted later she does have an attendance
Oh,
problem.
Grace is never
You
here.
missed more days than me already.
Grace is
Hey!
No, I didn't. I just one day. I missed like.
I did old fashioned.
I missed one day because my sister told me it was Saturday and I'm going home. They didn't inform me. And then it's yesterday. My mom has a neurovirus, so she was in the hospital. And watched the kids. So they were both sick, so I had to stay home. And I was like, whatever, it's your semester.
No, at least you didn't get it. All right.
I only know what you're talking about.
Most people look at it and they say, Jason ran 2,000 miles Jason ran 2,000 meters in 5.5 minutes. And he did this at a speed of, what I got? 363. I'm just going to round off. 0.6 meters per minute. And that was on Wednesday. But apparently on Thursday, he felt a little more motivated. So he ran that same 2,000 meters in 4.5 minutes. Okay, I agree, but you know, he felt a little more motivated. And he did this in 444.4 meters per minute on Thursday. So if that is what he did it in Wednesday, and that was his speed on Thursday, how do we find out how much he increased? That is what I did. These are made up numbers. So when you do that, you get 81 meters per minute.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I got it.
There you go. All right, everybody okay with that? What if I did something like this? Would we know what to do there?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, wait.
Actually, yes.
Yeah.
What would we do there? Walk me through it. What would I do?
And no.
Tell me what to
Let me see if I
do.
can finish this real
I
quick.
know.
You hush. You're on mute for a little while.
Wait, can I answer?
Yes?
But it's probably guy 2.
I don't want to know guy 1, guy 2, or guy 3. I want you to tell me how to do the problem.
Can I go up there?
Sure.
Let's go. I need to calculate it.
I want you to tell me how to do it.
I'm gonna show you how to do it.
That's
I'm not gonna
fine.
say nothing. I'm gonna show you.
I want to see some work. I don't want to just see numbers.
Okay. Is that one good? Want to get ready?
I gotta go get some way out. Yeah, that's a nigel.
Yeah.
Wait, so
I
like,
think I have one box left. At least I think I do.
what's the initial distance mean?
What if you like?
What does that mean? Like, is that where he started?
Yeah.
So like that one would be 50 minus 10, right?
I'm gonna get my actual friend.
I don't know.
I'm gonna get on the little 6th grader. He's like, good morning, good morning. He was like, good morning. Sat down and I was
That's the stop room, the chemical room.
No, it's funny.
Okay, he's quit already?
No, a lot of girls think. A lot of guys.
Okay, he left me a calculator in the pen. All right, so what do we do? What do we do if this is the problem? Oh, now what do you think?
I thought Nigel was doing it. Yeah, no, right.
Man,
let me chop him.
Hold on. Let me ask Coach now. What do you think we did?
You get the code. Divided by, the distance plus the time.
Okay, so how are we going to get the distance? Yes, that's what I want people to tell me. So you've got how many distances up here?
Yeah.
3.
You have, well, you got guy 1, and guy 1 has how many distances? There's 2. So for guy 1, you would have to say 50 minus 10, which is what Odell said. Subtract those 2 distances, and then what's the time?
40.
3 seconds. So you'd have 40 over 3. For guy 2, what are the 2 distances he went?
It was 35.
35 minus 20 over what's his time?
5 seconds.
5 seconds. And for guy 3,
It was 15 minus 5.
it's 15 minus 5 over 5. Now, does that make sense? So you have 2 distances, so what do you do with the 2 distances? You subtract them. All right, are we okay with that?
The last one will be 2.
The last one would be 2. That'll be 15, that'll be 3. So guy one's going to have the greatest one. I don't even know what the number is, but it's going to be the biggest. All right, are we okay with that?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's talk lab. Or mini lab. It's easy. You're doing it with a ruler, for God's sake. Here, Mark, I'll hand one of those to everybody. Here, Estella. Come give everybody a ruler.
No, your mini lab.
I was gonna have one of hers. Not yours.
Why do we have
Because
Yeah, I know. That's all the way down to the
I am not me. I am a nice person. You're me.
I probably am. I ain't even lie.
Oh, I see. Why don't you go? You know,
Oh, really?
I'm gonna go sell these for some food.
You're not going to get one.
Yeah, Lord, I'm gonna get tomato. Chuck it.
well, I'm all the way in the back.
Nobody do that. I get. I'm arcing. Go.
That's Grace for it.
Great, let me get my.
How did the whole class go even?
It's so
It's
sad.
your fault.
Wow. Everybody was already you. You still don't watch this.
A little bit of
All right. The only part I need to explain is what to do with the ruler. Okay? Because this part is where people get stuck. First of all, you use it centimeters. Okay? And you want to line the ruler up. So the ruler is reading the front of the hockey pucks. And I'm just going to draw lines here for a moment. You don't have to draw them on your paper. I'm just doing it to illustrate. All right, you're reading the very front of the hockey puck from the ruler. Now, you want to take this little start line right here at the front of the ruler, and you want to place it at the front of the hockey puck. Okay? Now, you're reading from here to the front of this next hockey puck. And you're reading to the front of all the rest of the hockey pucks without lifting the ruler up. Now, obviously, I'm going to let you out of your chairs to go find a partner to work in a second, so you're going to have to lift it. Now, what is the distance at 0 seconds? Well, what's the distance right here at 0 seconds? Is 0. So you're going to write 0.0 right there. Now, at 1 second, or 0.1 seconds rather, what's the distance here?
2.30.
You got a little off and it's, you see that.
2.12.
It's actually 2.1.
Oh, what? I was kind of close.
It's actually 2.1. When you get there, right there.
4.1. No.
4.2. I've got the pencil right on it. Okay, and then you keep going. Now, on the back, you've got to draw a graph. You cannot, did everybody hear me say this? You cannot answer the questions until you draw a graph. When you go to answer question 1 for what is the shape of the graph, do not tell me that it is a square, because that's a square. I'm asking you about the line that you draw. If you look at your notes and you listened to the video yesterday, I told you the answer to the shape of that graph. It should be in your notes, okay? If you will, there should be no more than one group of 3 unless somebody wants to work by themselves. There are 15 people here, okay? Huh? So, find a partner and get started so that you can do your lap. It is due to me before the bell. 30 minutes is more than enough time.
Wait, wouldn't they all be the same distance apart and turn it out so you can just figure out the first two and add that to each other?
Up to you.
Like 2.1, if the next one is 4.2, what the next one just be 6.3? 2.1. Mark. You can do it any way you want. Oh, I can back. I'm still trying to find out. You're gonna have 3, but yeah, I got 3.
Okay,
Hey, why do I have that many groups of 3?
We was the first group of 3.
We
We was in my group of 3 last time.
were the first two.
You just walked over your.
No, we're not having this many groups of 3.
She said one group of 3.
I said 1 group of 3, and I have 3 groups of 3.
Right, like, can we just work in groups of 3?
No,
But everybody already did it.
no.
Wait,
I'm just gonna walk around and bust up the groups of 3. So,
So time would go on the left of the graph, right?
huh?
Time would go on the left of the graph, right?
Where did time go yesterday?
I don't know if it's yesterday.
That's one of those 4 people you sit beside.
Where did time go yesterday, Marco?
So, you and Jay go work together.
Bye, my dear.
Mario,
I told you.
you and Markel come work together. I know. Oh, you're working, and you two are Oakdale's working with
Right, we was the first group of 3.
Malik. I don't care. Y'all, today's the last time you 3 get to be the 3.
All right, bet.
I don't even choose this.
I'm just telling you, y'all are the last. Next time, somebody else is the group of 3.
Oh.
Not, do some more. Looks like you're just standing there waiting on somebody to hand you the answers.
No, I got a new graph, huh?
Huh? I couldn't see that you're doing it. Oh. I am. I heard this all. Since middle school, so I I don't know what it is. It's like Johnny, that church, right? I don't know what it's called, but I know it's not that church.
Here, let's do this one.
That's what I just said.
You said-
I literally just said that before you left. You said, okay. Yes, you did.
Can we, like, when we make the graph, can we just put the numbers on the time and distance? Okay.
You need to space, you need to count by a certain interval.
Okay.
So if you make each space like 0.1 or 0.2, or you make 2 blocks 0.1, the next 2 blocks need to be the same amount.
Wait, what?
Okay.
That graph. Oh. Got a number X, Y. I need to be an equal amount. Y'all have drawn graphs before.
Trevor?
Okay. Gotta make it.
I know.
Suck out some of
I don't know, you got plenty of space. I probably count by like, you can do like one.
I didn't know that.
So
I
you
don't
get
back.
to like.
Hey, why is it right here?
Yeah, you could do that. It would have more space. Yeah.
What you wrote up there is right.
Or
not.
One for,
On the graph, I'm like, little tape on me. That's correct. Like, you measured it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, obviously, it's right.
You think I wrote stuff that was wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Might have.
I did not.
That was right and that was wrong.
What is wrong with yours?
Why are those point things there? Those are times. Those should be on the time, which should be on X.
My bad, right?
Yes. I can't. You need to connect the dots, otherwise it looks like a scatter plot, and it's not.
I told you, if you mess up, you said I'm not going to. Does it need to be straight or?
That's the multi-million-dollar question of the day.
But then like, wait.
Because if it's straight,
So
it's
yes or no?
constant. No, if it's straight, it's constant, and if it's not straight, it's average. So I have to do that.
But should I try to make the line as straight as possible or not?
That's the multi-million-dollar question of the day. That's what Grace is telling you. You have to figure out if it's a straight line. I'm not gonna tell you if it's a straight line.
Well, like, if they gotta make it curvy, I can make it curvy. If I gotta make it straight,
You're supposed to figure out if it's straight or curvy. That's what she's telling you.
Constant.
It's not going down, it's not changing.
Oh, last. You can go to 1 second, so it could be like, oh, this one, this like standing.
I don't know.
It's supposed to like go.
Yeah.
You're walking at night, bro. So you walk next to you.
Anyway, let's check the graph. Where?
This one's count.
This one's count.
Yeah. Yeah, so the only thing I'm trying to do is connect the dots, because it's not scatter plots. So you need to connect them and make them align. Yeah, or I mean, I don't care if you don't use a ruler. Hopefully it is.
So close to straight that it looks straight.
Wait, it's like. And Ms. Paul,
Yeah.
as long as the graph is right, no matter how.
On 0.
It should look like and be wrong. If it's supposed to be straight, and it's not.
I'm messing that for a reason, but never mind.
At speed be 2.1 every point. Yeah.
It's the speed of the graph.
No, you did that.
Wait, that's how we get
I'm not sure. Straight.
Yeah.
We do what we do.
Okay,
It's like we did.
No.
I think 12. 12.6.
No, we didn't write that.
Well, Jose, aren't you, don't you got my class last period? Don't you got my class second period? Are you in my class last period? Are you in? Are you not? What you got last period?
Yeah, this is really,
Yeah.
last period.
The period before.
Yeah, they close pencils. Like,
And I swear to God, I saw you in my class.
wow. Wow. Where they color? Over there?
What teacher? Nah.
Now we can actually do the graph.
It's a lab for a reason. There ain't no right or wrong answer. Find what you get. You need to know. That's what science is about. There ain't no right answer. There ain't no right answer in science. If you do a lab and you observe something, what you consider high speed is slow down.
What is that? Does that look like a straight line?
What kind of draw? What kind of graph is it?
Say what?
Number
This
five. Oh wait.
How do you put that in the calculator?
Put in the point.
That's what I wonder. That you can't.
Might need to start helping us.
Same question.
Yeah, honestly, we stopped.
So that's all thinking.
What was meant to you to Here. You go ahead and do.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know y'all know.
That's
great.
Also, I gotta do
Yeah, that's what I was saying, yeah.
Oh, what was the
How do you get the equation? Yeah, it's
You guys ain't gonna lie. Alright, where every time you sit up there?
We turn around on the stool.
You know that has one block and 0.1, and that has 2 blocks.
That's it.
I mean, I do start here.
Well, I'm pretty sure my dad just abandoned our puppy on the street. Because we're getting rid of like volume, but he's not potty trained. Like we can't potty train. So he tears up everything. He's a puppy. He's like 7 months old. His mom's like he's supposed to be at least potty trained by now, slightly. But it was like so bad that I take him outside on a schedule every day. I'd stand up there for 2 hours. He would go to the bathroom. I'd come inside. The second he hits the door, he'd go to the bathroom. So Mom's like, we're getting rid of everything. We're getting a new dog. It's like, okay. So we never planned a day. We didn't talk to anybody about that. You know, my dad, we took 5 minutes to go from our house to wherever he dropped the puppy off his back. I know there's no pound by our house. That's 5 minutes away and back. So I'm pretty sure he just went 3 streets away, dropped the puppy, and then drove back. What you eat? I don't know, but that sounds like my dad, so I feel bad for that puppy. You don't need any more cow, you got your Gatorade. You got snacks every day to this.
Oh, no pencils, I'm just saying.
Veggie sticks. Veggie sticks. Oh, it's vegan too.
I don't like veggie sticks.
No, I'm not. It's all right.
It's broke.
Oh, yeah, Miss Matt.
Oh, no.
I give Miss
Oh, I
Matt.
thought it was
Yeah. Me? Yeah, this thing has I mean, I would, but they try to give it to me in the morning. Oh, I'm not starting.
We don't have time.
No, they said it.
What was you gonna do with the computer?
Please don't. You are really hard.
I like the movie.
It's like 783. No. Actually, is your eyes hard like Jordan?
Oh, dude, I forgot to use that one. Why we keep, I don't know why, but I keep thinking we did that one.
Nobody cares.
Just delete it.
Miss Wall.
But then they'll be right back.
Food under Miss Cross's room. Like.
I'll be turning mine off over the summer, and then when I come back, I'm back on something.
I got too many people, like, yeah, like, he's hanging out with too many other people. Like, my friends, like, you're not allowed to hang out with those people. And then I'll have my other friends, like, you're not allowed to hang out with her, because you're not allowed to hang out with those people. I'm like, I'm allowed to hang out with whoever I want. I don't even hang out with my friends, like, can you sit with me in Russia? And I'm like, I'm sitting with my friends, so if you want to sit with us and play nice, you can sit with us. She's like, yeah, but like, just my
Oh, yeah, I use my ruler.
This is why your graph is wrong.
Race from the snack. Oh my God.
Yeah, you're messing up my.
That's just hurtful. Look, you just said that's not good.
I actually like that.
That's why I'm around. I'm pretty sure I'm like around. I don't know. Say how big around? Like, what are you doing? Oh, you're talking about how big around? You know how who? Oh yeah. Oh, listen, I thought you were talking about frost. I was like, race? No, you have been lied to. I thought you this way. I'm like, race. This way, like, I know that's a waste right there. Right. I'm like, listen, it's that. I'm stressed. Wow, if he was a win, I'm tired. I'm the game. Like, I'm the game. All these people get none.
Okay, I have a question. Okay, exactly.
Yeah, I'll never take a video. No, because my sister, hey, you got it. So, my brother, like, I got the special picture. What she said. Oh. Grace, no.
Oh, you're right, yes.
I got a question, man. You look at this ruler. You look at 3.
I didn't got it.
You look at 3.
Did you live with yourself?
No.
Did you live with yourself, man?
You look at it or you look at it?
Oh, this is your house. That's your core. That's mine now.
No, give it
It's not.
here.
You live with yourself, man.
I give you one. I don't like that. Right, I was just like,
Stop.
that can't happen.
Yes.
Oh, no, it's on the.
You moved it up. That's not.
The ruler right here.
I had it at my home.
No, you.
The rules going in this blue cup.
You were right here.
No, just why
When
don't
you moved it up when you saw it was supposed to happen.
I didn't have that one. I would throw rulers in here.
All right, whose paper am I still missing? If you have rulers still laying around, put them up here on my desk, please.
Oh, yeah, yeah. She's just saying.